Hello and welcome back to another One Piece video. So today I have purple yellow Nico Robin for you guys. Honestly, she's pretty fun. She's really good at starving your opponent in a sense that if they decide to counter out of your leader's swings, obviously they're gonna lose cards out of hand, and thanks to her banish ability, if they decide to take the life, they won't be drawing it. Instead, you'll be trashing life. So she's really good at forcing card advantage that way, and then her also being able to ramp super consistently is super nice. And so we're able to run a lot of top end pieces in the form of the new Katakuri, the 9 cost Linlin, and then I'm testing out the new Beer Luffy just because she is a Straw Hat member and she's able to take advantage of really powerful cards like the new Luffy, Gum Gum Giant, and even Sanji. I think Sanji is becoming more and more overpowered every time I use him. It just feels like he's so impactful in the match, especially because you're able to ramp to 7 so quickly, and you're able to rest down like any important early bodies that your opponent's able to put down. So I really like Sanji a lot for that reason. And then obviously everything else is pretty standard, running 4 of the Ovias, 4 of the Brulés, 4 Frankies, 4 Namis. These are just basically loading up on characters with trigger who's also searchable through law, like the Frankie and Nami, so that you can have fodder for your leader ability. And so that is honestly the reason why I'm running 4 of the event searchers as well, over the 3 laws, just because even though law digs you 1 card deeper, I wanted to have more trigger targets for our leader to consistently ramp. And so yeah, that's why I have 4 of this instead of 4 of the laws. Also, just playing the 1 of Gamma Knife. You guys already know Gamma Knife is just a really strong pick into this current meta. One, it's to die for, just because there are some decks like Buggy, for example, who plays like promo Buggy, or any like removal decks that Zoro won't be able to help you get that extra ramp. And so it's to die for. It's just to like help you get that ramp on turn 3 if you need. And then also just the 1 of Ragnarok. Since we don't have like Kingdom Come anymore, I think Ragnarok is a really good substitution, just because Gamma Knife really needs that body to be sideways, but Ragnarok, you can just pop anything even if it's untapped. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck list. Let's just hop over to some gameplay and I'll show you how this thing runs. Okay, so first match I got for you, we're going to be going up against RG Smoker. And obviously RG Smoker is not one of the top tier decks, but he is still a very strong leader. And so I think he would be a really good test to see if Robin can handle like another aggressive leader. And so here, starting off with a 5k swing, able to banish his life actually, which is really big, and then being able to ramp as well with our leader ability. And then thanks to the Zoro, next turn we'll be able to go up to 7. And then this is why I like Sanji so much. Him being able to throw down the Tony Chopper is really annoying for most decks, but thanks to Sanji we're able to just rest them down and ignore them. And then I decide to ramp again, just because I want to get up to 10 Dawn as fast as possible, because when we get to the Beer Luffy, if we do draw him, he's gonna tax a lot of Dawn, and it's honestly really hard to get up to your max 10 Dawn when you're constantly dawning down for his ability. And so he gives us a 5k swing into the Zoro here. I decide to actually give him a 2k counter, just because if he wants to really get rid of this card now, he's gonna have to turn his blocker sideways, and that'll be really good for us. And so here he drops down the Smoker. I think he ends up playing the Mulgun, and he does, to pop our Sanji, but luckily for us we have another Sanji. Being able to rest down that Chopper once again, and then thanks to Zoro staying alive, we're able to use him to replenish another Dawn, active by the way, so that we're able to pressure his life really hard here. So I'm going in with a 7k at lead here. He has to give us 2 cards, just because if he doesn't, we'll be able to swing in for 8 with the Sanji, and yeah, that explains why he took so much life early on. It looks like he hasn't gotten any 2k counters yet besides that Tony chopper that he put down, and so he was forced to swing, or he was forced to counter 3 1ks there with our 7k swing. And so with the Peacock, he does find a TCG, so that shows us that he now has at least 1 2k in hand. But next turn, I'm feeling really good just because since he had to counter so inefficiently last turn, we should be able to finish him off with what we have on board. So I think his only out at this point is like another mold gun to get rid of our Sanji, and then playing down like another blocker. But if he doesn't have exactly that, I'm just gonna split my Dawn with an 8 and a 9k swing. And yeah, him only having 1k or 1 2k counter that he revealed, I just don't think that his other cards will be enough to counter. So yeah, at this point he only has 6 Dawn to work with, so yeah, he uses the rest of his Dawn here to try to pressure us and set up for lethal next turn. But luckily for us, we did hit that Nami trigger, or that Nami trigger, able to pop his blocker, and then next turn obviously just going to be able to swing in 15k at lead. But looking at his hand, even if he didn't drop down that Monet, he only had enough to counter out of a 7k swing, and so us going for like an 8k swing and a 9k swing next turn would have been enough to wrap up the game anyways. So okay, so next game I got for you guys, we're going to be going up against blue Buggy. And Buggy, honestly, I think he naturally gets countered by Nico Robin just because he likes to hoard resources in hand so that he can use his leader ability late game, or just try to control the board. But it's really hard to do so when Nico Robin's not giving you any cards, right? So right now he's forced to take the swing, not gaining any card advantage, and we're able to just ramp up for free there. And then also, if he wants to counter out of these banished swings, he's gonna have to just give us cards out of his hands, which Buggy hates to do. So swinging in 5 at lead here, I decide to take. I just don't want to be greedy with our resources yet. And then this is honestly a misplay from me. I totally forgot about the promo Buggy when I was playing against Buggy here, being able to stun 3 costs as well. At first I thought it was only like 4 costs, but it's actually 3 and 4 costs. So this Zoro is actually not going to get any value for us. And it was probably just better to play down one of our beer Luffy's there, especially because he's a brick. I didn't want to play him just for free last turn because he wouldn't have been able to use his ability anyways because Buggy was only at 4 Dawn. But yeah, pre-playing him definitely would have been the stronger play, considering now our Zoro can't even swing. So I finally do play down the beer Luffy here, and then pumping our leader up to 7. Probably just gonna swing in 7 at the Alvida or Life. Yeah, I think I decide to just swing in at Life here because the Alvida and Kabaji is not really a threat anymore, just because them being 5k power makes it really hard for him to really use them to pressure our life now that we have Beer Luffy on the field and he's able to pump our leader up to 7 every turn. But he does answer with a Mihawk, actually not using his leader ability, which I like. I think he's just trying to hoard as many resources as he can. But we're just going to be taking that 7k swing. Obviously not able to use the Nami trigger there because we don't have another trigger in hand. But yeah, this turn it's going to be really good for the Linlin, being able to gain 1 life and then putting that blocker to the bottom of his. I contemplated putting it at the top, but our leader only being 5k at the time, I think there was no way that that was going to connect and be able to banish him. So just left him at the bottom. Him being a brick makes it really easy for us to plan out our lethal turn once we get there. But yeah, we're in a really commanding spot at this point. Yeah, as you can see, like Nico Robin really able to starve out his resources just because one, he has to choose if he wants to go down to 1 life really early on, or he has to give up so many resources that he's not really able to maintain that card advantage in hand. And so really good for us. He actually uses the Gravity Blade on our Brûlé there along with the Beer Luffy. But luckily for us, we had 3 in our starting hand. And so I just put down that second one. And at this point in the game, I think there's just really no way for him to come back. Just because next turn, he can definitely deal with one of these bodies if he puts down like a 10 cost Buggy. But unless he puts down a blocker and a 10 cost Buggy, or just like 2 10 cost Buggies, we should be able to pressure down the rest of his cards in hand, or at least that last life, just because we have the Sanji Rush in hand as well. Yeah, and so this game really highlights how strong Beer Luffy is, especially against Buggy, just because even if he drops down like a bunch of his smaller bodies in the form of like Alvida and Kabaji, they're not really able to put a lot of pressure on us because they're only 5k power, and our leader being at 7k power just makes it really hard for him to be able to do any damage with those cards. Finally, he is able to find himself a Crocodile and Mihawk here, and then looks like he's pretty desperate looking for answers, so he uses Mr. 1 to play from the Crocodile and Mihawk effect. And then obviously he makes a misplay here. He overlaid the Alvida for his 10 cost Buggy, but that wouldn't have changed the course of the game, just because even if that Buggy stayed on board, we would just go for lethal anyways this turn. So obviously this 9k swing giving him a brick in hand. There's no way for him to counter out of a 13k swing from our leader, so able to take a win away from Blue Buggy here. All right, finally I got a game against Red Shanks for you guys, and honestly Red Shanks is getting like pretty popular again. I think people are trying to make him work because of the starter deck. I like him a lot, but honestly I don't like him as a control build at the moment. Yeah, and you'll see why it's so slow. So I decided to go first anyways, even though I know that Shanks likes going second, because the faster we're able to ramp to our larger bodies, like his bodies on curve is just not going to be fast enough to compete. And so yeah, we're able to ramp up to 4 Dawn here, and then able to hit a trigger as well, being able to draw 3 and pitch 2. Probably just going to pitch Zoro Joro in the event, since we have our future turns planned out pretty well here. And then the Zoro Joro being big because it's able to get us an additional ramp. And then probably just going to play down the Beer Luffy here. Yeah, obviously just going to swing first here in case. Or actually, we don't even have to play around any triggers, right? Just because thanks to Nico Robin's effect, she just banishes anything that she hits in life. And then the Shanks being at 4 Dawn, we're not able to use the Luffy effect just yet, but pre-playing him is going to be super nice because next turn we have Katakuri or Linlin lined up, and so we'll be able to replenish the Dawn with Katakuri there. He swings in with the Uta and then swings in with the Building Snake, so that tells us that he doesn't really have any of his cards on curve just yet, and that's really big for us, just because yeah, him not being able to remove this Beer Luffy means that we're able to pump our leader up to 7. We're going to be very strong next turn, very tanky, and he won't be able to apply too much pressure here. I know we're already down to 1 life, but having a Katakuri develop and having the Beer Luffy being able to pump our leader up to 7 already just makes it really hard for him to come back into this game. So yeah, there Katakuri able to ramp us 1 Dawn at the end of the turn, and also just giving us a blocker every turn is super nice. So Dragon here swinging in for 9. Probably just gonna block in 2k, and I do. And then swinging in another 7 with his Shanks, we're just gonna give him a 1k there. And then this turn, we're probably just gonna pressure his dragon just because he only has 2 cards left in hand. And so we're gonna make him decide whether he wants to give us the rest of his hand, or he wants to try to keep that dragon alive, but we just have too many swings on board for him to really keep him alive there. And so swinging 10 at the dragon, he actually just decides to let him go. And I use this opportunity to actually just pressure his life a little bit here. Thanks to our leader ability, we're able to take 2 life, but only give him 1 card in hand. And then I'm just going to leave up 2 Dawn just for the Gum Gum Giant. Honestly, I probably only needed to leave up 1 Dawn, but he took both lives anyway, so didn't really matter too much. But yeah, we're looking in a really good spot here. Luckily for us, he didn't find any 10 drops on curve. As you can see, Nico Robin was able to banish the Shanks out of his life there, and so we were able to deny him one of his win conditions. So that was super nice. So here he swings in 7 at lead. I think I actually just take this hit. I considered countering out, but honestly next turn we have the Lin coming up, and we're going to be able to heal that life right back anyways. And so I decided not to waste my counter here, just because if he finds a way to like play down his rush Shanks or any other like rush character in future turns, I want to be able to counter out of those swings, especially with our Katakuri going back up to 8 next turn. And so yeah, luckily I did take the hit because we got a Frankie trigger out of him. And so this Frankie is going to be able to pressure more 5k swings for us. And then yeah, I think this is just a pretty easy turn, just swinging in a bunch of minimums, and then using Lin to heal back up here. And then I'm actually going to pitch one of the Gum Gums here, just because next turn we should be able to win, and we only have 1 Dawn up anyways, and so there's no reason to hold that second Gum Gum in hand. Yeah, and so at this point, I'm not too sure what he could have in his hand to try to come back from this. But yeah, we're looking in a really good spot to be able to close out the match next turn. So a 5k swing comes in. I think I just give him that 1k counter. There's no reason to block with the Katakuri there. And then he does drop down his 9 cost Shanks in order to pump his leader up to 7 himself. I think I take the first swing and then I just block in 2k from the Rayleigh. Oh, he actually swings into the Frankie here. So swinging into the Frankie, it's not really worth it for us to counter out of that one, just because I'd rather a bunch of large swings than allocate more than necessary Dawn to Frankie. And I start with a 10k swing with our leader just because that banish is so valuable. Him telling us if he's able to counter out of that swing or not tells us a lot if we're able to close out the next swing, just because with the banish he's not able to pick up that 2k in hand, and then just loading up our Lin and swinging for 14 is more than enough to close out the match. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Nico Robin obviously is not a meta breaker or anything, but she is really fun, and she's honestly really consistent to be able to ramp every single turn, and then just abuse these tall bodies like Katakuri and Lin. And then obviously the new Beer Luffy being so overpowered, I think synergizes really well with her banish ability. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.